You want to see a magic trick? Pocket jelly beans.
Thank you.
Well, it's Friday.
It is.
Everything's in bloom, the grass is growing, and I'm looking at it and I was like, when did that happen?
I don't know, a couple of weeks ago.
It's the only time of year that little crabapple diddly thing is.
Those cracks in your glasses!
Well, I need to make an appointment. They're spreading like crazy,
Yes,
too.
that's why I'm like, what the hell?
I'm having a materials failure on my glasses. I've had it for a good few years, but they're just kind of disintegrating.
Yeah, but the lenses, I thought you got them last year.
I don't remember. No, it was a good couple of years ago. Easy. It was not last year.
Okay.
Well, I don't think so. I could be wrong. Believe me, I'm wrong all the time.
All the time?
Oh my God. I've been wrong several times, Dave, more than several times. I was wrong about the order of the chemical baths that I was experimenting on. I was, what else was I wrong about? I was wrong that Kraken would eat ham.
Yes.
She refused. She wouldn't do it. Oh, there are a whole host of other things that I've done wrong, I'm sure. They just, they don't stick in the mind. But before doing any more wrong things, let's do wrist check. So, wrist check. I am wearing my true Pogue. It's an early one, March 71. It has a late taper on it because that's what the service bracelet was. And I like the way they look. I really like the way they look. The taper lends itself to the case. And so that's what I keep on it. And there it is, a little bit of fade, but I dig it. Honey, what you got?
I am wearing...
Oh, there she goes. She's wearing the red 1680. I built her out of parts and scrap and other stuff, but there it is. That was a fun build. Okay, cool. So let's rock-a-rolla.
Rock-a-rolla? Okay. The 62 MAS case type and why the Slim K6105 is awesome.
Love it.
Bruce Barlow, totally agree about the big lumberjack size pips. Those later model small ones don't cut it. Seiko should have kept them beefy. Yes, that Arlie is a little gem. The second hand is okay.
Yeah, well, the 6105, those large pips to me in the rotating rings, I have no idea why Seiko when they went to the 7S series is they dropped that standard pip size, which was a circle just big enough basically for the triangle of the 12 marker. And they pulled it in to the point that it was probably less than half the size, but I'm not sure why. But because I really think the old one looks a whole lot better. That's me. Oh, and on the Arlie, every time I look at it, that second hand.
What's wrong with it?
It's not the original one for the watch. I didn't like the original one for the watch because at the time I considered it hard to see, but it's a really old restoration of mine, really, really old. And so I need to take the whole thing apart.
Do you still have that second hand?
I have the original one. Yeah, sure. It's all marked. In fact, I saw it today. I was going through hands and there it was. But I'm going to pull the Arlie completely apart. I put matte clear coat on top of the markers because I couldn't figure out a way to deal with the corrosion that's there because that watch was absolutely battered wreck when it got here. But my current techniques might actually allow me to do it. And if I do that, then I'm going to change that hand back. I'm also going to take the case apart. I'm going to pull the crown tube. I'm going to get rid of the Rolex style twin lock, and I'm going to put in a regular push-pull like a Swiss watch and basically make it back to normal with a big diver crown. We'll see how it looks when I'm done.
From DMix22, I love the 62 MAS and still have a couple, but I bought mine when they were going for $25. But what was $25 when did they come out?
Oh, I mean, those things, they came out they came out older than me.
Well, okay, but give me a year.
66.
Okay.
It wasn't 66. I think they came out starting in 65 and then till 67, right about that. end of the fall, like basically the end of 1967, then the beginning of 1968, all the new models dropped.
$232.90.
Well, that's when they were new. When was he buying them? If he was buying them on the secondary market, like Jonathan used to tell me, he was like, oh man, when eBay first started, the stuff that was there, the stuff that was available there, and it was just astonishing.
All right, sorry, I might have just made you like a million years older than you actually are.
Really? I'm not that old. I'm not. Come on, man.
Can you pause it?
Sure, just one moment, please. I just realized something. I could pull off a pretty good Kenny Rogers look impression. I'm almost there. I just got to give Dolly a call. Oh, Dolly Parton. I knew a guy. I didn't know about Dolly Parton's the way she structures her romantic life and her love life, and that, you know, she's married, but she's also free to party. And that apparently is what she did. But I didn't know that. Back in the 90s, I was at this bar that opened, this hipster bar that opened around the corner from my house in San Francisco. And I went there because I knew the guys that were opening it. And I met one of their buddies, and I was talking to him, and he was telling a story, and he was talking about when he had, you know, sex with Dolly Parton. I was like, when did you have sex with Dolly Parton? And he told me some story about it. Then I was like, no, you didn't. And he got really huffy about it. And I was just like, what an absurd claim to make. And he got real huffy about it. He was pretty pissed, actually. I think I apologized to him later. But then, decades later, I come to learn that, you know, that's how she lives her life. And she likes how she lives her life. And that's what she does. And I'm like, holy, that guy wasn't lying. I'm like, damn. But thanks to him, I do have a fairly good description of what her breasts look like up close. I've never told you because it's never come up in conversation. I'm not going to repeat it here, but I do have it in my head.
Oh my God, please don't say I deleted everything. Okay, good. I just was at a blank page.
Well, that is startling.
Okay, can I finish the rest of what David's had to say?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. You do know it's an homage of other watches. I have an Elgin, a Wittnauer, and a Hellbros. Is it Hellbros or Hellbros?
I always say Hellbros, but I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
Whatever. From the same time, and they all have the same case, just like all the skin divers did. That 6105 quote-unquote slim was a horrible seller, Spencer. Nobody bought them, and for good reason. They drastically changed them to the 8110 case, which is so much better, but you could still pick up a Submariner 5512 or 5513 for maybe $20 more at the time. I love how passionate you are for the 8100. To me, it is an idea to change the case of their skin diver that just went bad.
Yeah, I guess I understand some of it. I mean, I made a video a couple days ago talking about the 6105 8000 slim case, 8009 slim case, and as being sort of a transition model, that it had elements of what came before and what came after. But for me, that slim case is just it's this perfect thing. You get two waves that come together, whap, and they just create perfection. It may not have sold well at the time, but it's a really nice design. It's a beautiful design. And if you put the two next to each other, you put your Submariner. Well, let's not go with a no date. Let's say it's a 1680, but not a red 1680. I don't actually even know if the red 1680s existed then. Whatever. So, equivalent Submariner. The equivalent Submariner, even from there, most people will be like, okay, it's a Rolex. It may not do anything. You know, those same people may look at that Seiko and say it's some kind of watch, but people who know watches, nothing else is going to look like that. Nothing else is going to be that dial or the sort of the clarity of design. So I can't speak for it. I think it's a great case. I think, going back to your 62 MAS thing, yeah, the cases were the same, but just like the 6105, the dial was absolutely unique. There were some dials that looked kind of like it, but they were all sort of messy and the sizes were, it was non-harmonious. But Seiko's 62 MAS style was beautiful, beautiful. I really think that the 6105 slim case is sort of a standalone masterpiece. I understand they went from one to the other, but that's it. Hi.
Hi.
My nose is itchy. I'll cut that out.
Please. Okay. From Christian Dowling. Thanks for the video, Spencer. Can I ask what bracelet you are wearing on the 6105? It was a fish.
Yeah, I call it the fish scale. I had a video on it. It doesn't actually say the title of the 6105, but it says it was a couple 3 days ago. And it was just basically talking about the 62 MAS and the 6105. And I showed that watch and I talk about the bracelet. The bracelet is a fish scale. It's little diamond pieces that are held together. They're beautifully made. They're a Chrysler Stelux design. Seiko used them on a few different models. They're stupidly hard to find. It's really weird. I used to have a lot of them and now you can't find them. I've got enough pieces I could maybe build one more, but they're really nice quality. I just think it suits the watch beautifully because, well, for a few reasons. It's straight, it's clean, plus it has the nautical theme being fish scales. And it just, also the shape of the little diamonds that make it up mimic sort of the shape of the case. It kind of gives one a sort of a fractal feeling.
Sorry. I'm thinking about like a million other things.
Well, you know, these things happen.
Yeah, I know. Seiko 6139 6005 True Pogue Resto Part 2. Connor Whitworth, why do Seiko continue to ignore the Pogue? That's something that I've wondered. The recent speed timer solar reissues aren't bad as such, but come on, Seiko, you're sitting on gold here, literally. Omega certainly don't ignore the moon watch. I literally wonder that, well, not all the time, but when I think about it.
If they had the, yeah, I mean, yes, 100%, they could totally do it.
Why do they keep focusing on divers?
Divers are a lot cheaper to make. That's just a guess. I mean, if Seiko were to come out with a one-to-one, copy of that thing, the True Pogue, mechanical chronograph, I mean, obviously back in the day, they weren't that expensive, but these days they would charge thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for one. They're just not a reasonably priced watch anymore. And I'm sure Seiko would do all the normal stuff that they did. Limited edition, special colorways, save the possums.
Save the possums?
Sure, you gotta save the ocean, save the whales, save the possums.
Yeah, save them.
Save the used plastic bags because they come in super handy later on.
Save the parchment paper and use it with 4 loaves
the thing, but the parchment paper, that works. I mean, we only do it in an emergency anyway.
Yeah, but that means that we've been wasting money.
I guess so. But the point being is that there's no, it would be great, wouldn't it, if they just came out with these, these legacy models and kept them. Like they did a reasonably priced, good mechanical reissue of the 6139 6005. The Pogue, if they came out with basically a reasonable daily wearer copy of this the 6105 8110 or the slim cases, but with a regular movement, as long as the crown is at where it needs to be, which is 4, not 345, because 345 destroys all the symmetry of the dial. When you have that crown off in the wrong place, it looks like someone sneezed when they were putting it together. I just can't take it. But yeah, legacy models, so the 6105 and the 6139, the 6138 Pandas.
6159?
6159, absolutely, but made correctly and not be these weird sort of fashion watches things, made to be what they are at a price that regular normal people can purchase them at.
That wouldn't happen.
And so, because if you have part of the reason Seiko was such a huge success back in the, especially late 60s going in, is because they got all these deals to sell their product in the military PX system, the post exchange system. And so you had hundreds of thousands of guys and ladies too, going to the PX, getting their Seikos, buying their Seikos. Seiko continues to run for a long time. Going home, hey, look at my thing I got here at the PX. So more people would be hearing, you know, Seiko's great. They're not that expensive, great quality, they run forever. And that's what built Seiko's explosion in the 60s and what fueled their LCD development and their their analog quartz chronograph things. I don't know what their business model is now, but it's not dedicated to making me complain less.
From the yesterday's watch review today, Seiko 8346803 out.
This watch is right there.
From Loosely Wound, lovely watch. A much closer match to a mini 6215 case are the 406701 whatever Bellmatics. I love those. They also had non-loomed JDM versions. I wonder, and this is total speculation, if no loom watches sold better because of fear of radiation in Japan in the decades following World War II. That's an interesting theory.
That is an interesting theory. Well, I read in the past that people who survived in one gentleman's case, both of the atomic bombs, he got bombed at the first one, and then he was able to get out of there, and he went to the next city. But there was the survivors of that, especially people who had radiation damage, anything visible, they were ostracized and basically shut out of society. So that certainly would make sense. You don't want to talk about radiation on your wrist.
Yeah.
That's a really, really good observation. That's a really interesting observation. Also, what did Japan love at the time? I mean, there's a lot of negative connotations. Godzilla was created as a result of the bomb. His original genesis, if you know your lore. You know?
Do I have to start watching all of those Godzilla movies on HBO Max? Because they have all of them.
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, think about the allegory. You know, you have this monster that should not exist brought to life by the inhumane nuclear warfare, and this living representative example of the dangers of nuclear proliferation goes and stamps the city flat. It's got a message.
Mm-hmm. Connor Whitworth, low beat, high accuracy, preferable to me. I always feel that the frenetic sounding high beat movements must be putting more of a strain and a greater wear on parts. Why I would always take a 6215 over a 6159. I think the 6215 would be more of a daily wearer than a 6159 because of the movements inside. Those Seiko-matic movements are fantastic.
They are. I always think actually the 6159s is being a little temperamental. They're kind of like, you know, a watch, a car that's been like high tuned to like give specific and, you know, performance, high performance in a narrow band. And that's what that is. And yeah, like your take on it, it's a lot of strain and it's a lot of stress. They have a stronger mainspring, the 6159s, and they're inside a barrel, which is ostensibly not able to be opened. Trade secret, you actually can open the 6159 barrels. You just have to do it from the other side. There you go. There's your whole secret. Wow. I just discovered it one day. I'm sorry. That sounds like I'm poking myself up, like I'm the greatest. I was distracted. I wasn't thinking properly, and I believe I was actually talking to you. And muscle memory, I flipped it, and I was pushing on it, and it wasn't opening. I was like, and for some reason I got it in my head to try it the other way, because that's how Bellmatic ones are. And I went, and it came right out. And up to that point, they said it cannot be done.
Hang on.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think. Hang on, can you pause so I can...
One moment.
Okay, Oh, there wasn't a question.
There wasn't. Well,
No,
good. I'm
just
glad I answered it.
Yep. Okay. I don't know if this person is Nyard, or Nyard. So
New York
Aardvarks?
ARD Applied Research Department.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh.
Sounds like something in a Men in Black.
Yes. Do you have a top 5 of vintage Seiko movements?
Well, what's the criteria? Longevity?
That's a question that you've never been asked.
Accuracy? Durability? You know, my best metric for how I judge a movement is how much I trust it. And a lot of that has to be said that, you know, these higher end watches, you know, that are more heavily jeweled, you know, these watches, the 5200s and the 5600s, they're excellent movements. Just like this, the 8300 movement, excellent movements. All 3 cases, they're heavily jeweled, and they use the Swiss style system for winding, not the Seiko one. So they were designed to go after the Swiss. I love those movements.
Or I can't say backwards because it makes me look all stretched out and weird.
Oh, I know. Well, you know, someday we're gonna have better tech.
Anyway.
But I don't know which one of those I would say was the awesomest. You know, the 5600 series, they're great. And if it wasn't for the stupid star wheel, they would be just bulletproof. 5126, I'm going to put that down. 5126 is one of the greatest. I would say...
What about A's and B's of something? You talk about like in one more than the other, I think. Is
Yeah.
it like a 6139?
Ooh.
Ooh, I can't remember what letter you like more.
Yeah, well, the 6139B is an amazing movement.
That's what I was gonna guess.
Yeah, 6138-9A is great. It's actually, it's a little tighter. They made the stack height slightly smaller at the expense of certain adjustability and longevity things. Turns out they had to beef up the chronograph wheel, spring and clutch because it failed a lot. Also, it turned out that not being able to adjust the hammer's faces meant that you had all kinds of trouble with the heart wheels coming out of sync, and so they changed that. But yeah, the 6139, boy, but the 6138. I love the 6138 movement. I love the 6138 movement because it's got more toys to play with and it's hand winder. I love the 6138 movement. If Seiko were to bring back the 6138, man, that would be pretty awesome. I think that would be pretty cool. I really think that would be awesome.
So what are we at, 3?
Yeah, so maybe these are things that, I mean, am I talking about reliability? Everybody's going to say, well, what about the 6309? And I'm going to say, well, you know, 6309 is awesome. And I can't say no to it, really. But I would probably lean more towards 6306. It's a better number.
Pizza's here.
Oh, pizza's here. Okay, so...
well, no, Sadie's getting it.
Oh, Sadie's getting it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go look at it or something?
Yeah, I probably should.
Well, I'm still thinking about movements, so why don't we do that? Here, I'll pause this, and then I'll go back to talking about my movements.
Okay.
That's okay. For a second, I just wanted to show off. There's my pizza. But I'm not going to eat it right now, as we're rolling on. The whole time you were away, I was thinking about the 5 movement question. I've got some problems.
Really?
I don't think I can go under 5. Maybe. I mean, again, my criteria is a movement that I can depend on, that I like, that is accurate. I mean, okay, fine. 8300. Right. There it is. 8300 series, 100%. 6216 is it's the same movement family as the 6217 and the 62 MAS and the 6245, 6246, which are Grand Seiko movements, and the 6216, which is exactly the same thing as the 6246 Grand Seiko. So the 6216 is a bargain, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful watch. So that's a hard one to say no to. I love 6138s. I love 6138s. They're great. If Seiko were to bring that back, man, oh man. But if they brought back the 6138 and they did it right,
No.
you could actually easily bring back the 6139 too, because they have very, very close overlapping things.
She's on the hunt.
Yep.
Like, I got chicken on my pizza, and that's her favorite food, and she's trying to get to my pizza.
I was going to say 6306, but I say no. I'm not going to do that. I am going to go to 6106. The 6100 series is kind of like my bread and butter. It's a regular three-hand movement. Sport divers, 6106 is just... because it's the base caliber of all that 6000 series stuff. So really I'm kind of cheating because it's the base caliber, which means I can lump in the 6119s and all that other kind of 6105. Also, one could make an argument really that the 6300s, which were an evolution of the 6106, I mean, a lot of the train parts exchange right across. I would lump them in too. So I would say, there you go, 6106 is extraordinarily important movement family. And then I was thinking, it's either going to be, I love the 6619s, but I don't really wear them much, but they're good movements, except they're really tall. I would have some representative of the 7000 series for the same reason. 7005, 7002s, which I love. And for some reason, they always run slightly better than their brothers. Yeah, it's got to be like the 7000 series. Let's just say 7005A. There you go. There are mine.
Okay.
I had to cheat a little bit, but there it is.
I realized why the pizza got here so fast.
Why?
Everybody's eating tacos, not pizza.
Oh, it's Cinco de Mayo.
Okay.
Or as Anakin fans say, it's Revenge of the Fifth.
From last week's mail call that I guess you wrote mall call.
I did? Mall call. Wait, like Maul from Star Wars?
No.
Mall call. They're going to demolish the local mall here finally.
Mike D. Long time no comment, trying to finish up this degree. Love Sabrina's shirt are so cool. When it comes to Star Wars, I'm always on the hunt for shirts with Snowspeeders on them. My favorite vehicle in Star Wars.
It's, those Snowspeeders. Empire.
I love TIE fighters. I freaking love. I love Star Trek. Star Trek I love, but Star Wars, their ships are so much cooler.
Wait, so do you like the Republic era? Because before the TIE fighter, the ship that the fighter that Obi-Wan had, they were old school. Like they didn't have internal star drives.
I mean like from OG original Star Wars.
So the classic TIE fighters. What about Vader's Defender TIE?
I like the flat.
You like the flat? I love Vader's Defender TIE. What about the Seventh Sister and those guys? They had TIE fighters that were like almost like this structure. They almost looked like they were semi-liquid. It was really cool. You're right though. The classic TIE fighter. That scene, Empire Strikes Back, was the first movie I saw by myself in the theater. I saw it the summer that it came out. And I remember, I know there's a bunch of the movie before that, but all I remember is those Snowspeeders coming out and kind of going over the snow slope and everything. And that whole scene for me as a kid, that was just great. Because I'd seen the first one in the theater too. And I don't know, it was awesome, man.
Joseph Stewart. Hey Spencer, question for next mail call. A good mate Alan has his dad's old Seiko 5 that he got for his 21st birthday with a 7005A movement that is totally roasted. He is keen to get it up and running again, but the movement needs replacing. It seems that 7005A movements are very hard to come by. Is there any other Seiko movement, 7S26, etc., that could fit into the watch without the need for too much modification, or is the 7005 a bit of a tough fit?
Well, I started trying to remember if I was able to successfully fit a 7000 series dial to a 7S. I don't remember. But 7005s, they should be plentiful. 7006s, plentiful. Any of those 7000 series, the only thing is that you have to go with 7005 or 7006 in order to make sure that you have the crown at the right position. If you go, 7009, you're gonna have the crown at 345, even though it should be at 4. But yeah, that's easy enough. The only difference between 7005 and 7006 is the addition of the date wheel. Other than that, they're exactly the same. That's it. There should be a billion of them. I don't even know how many of those movements I have. I really don't. Hundreds. No, maybe not hundreds, but I've got a lot.
Okay, I was just cleaning up the questions because there were some duplicates.
What?
Mom, Mom, and I heard that one saying, Mom, Mom, and then mine say, Mom.
Sun's out.
Okay. Where am I?
Mm-mm.
CMB8589. I am a longtime viewer of the channel. All along it was in the hope of seeing your water heater. The watches do not interest me as I don't wear one. I will unsub as you clearly stated the water heater is off limits. Darn it.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever shown anybody our water heater.
Well, it's new.
New-ish. Oh, I do actually have to have the anode checked. That's one thing I do have to do. I keep forgetting to do it.
I thought that we just got it replaced a couple of years ago because it flooded.
Oh, it did. No, it was more than a couple of years ago. Yeah, the thing flooded.
Oh, yeah, because people weren't wearing masks, so that would have been, okay.
Yeah. So it's been a good few years. I'll need to look into it. Yeah, when that flooded. Boy, the trouble that came to us from that day. Just, anyway.
Oh, God. Nielsen Gupta. Hi SNS, have you had a chance to watch Picard Series 3? As a Star Trek fan, I highly recommend it. Series 1 and 2 were rubbish. No, we watched the first season and...
We had been hoping that Star Trek had grown out of its habit of having the first 2.5 seasons, 2 or 2.5 seasons be terrible before the show started going. That was before. These days, people should know what's going on. Picard season 1 and 2 was just
we didn't watch 2.
We didn't watch. I couldn't. We watched all the way to the end of 1, and Picard and Android, and I'm just like, I can't take it. I never looked at a minute of season 2. Season 3, I don't know how they're gonna pull it off.
Wait, no, it's done.
It's over?
I think.
So how?
Oh yeah, it's over. The dream is over.
So did they end up like opening a bed and breakfast together?
On Risa.
Pretty exciting bed and breakfast, I guess. I'll look at it. We'll see. It's it's funny. I'm for a Trek fan myself, and who has Trek stuff on the wall. I watch basically no Star Trek.
Well, how many times are you going to watch the same things over and over and over and over again? Also, they're all the shows are on Paramount Plus, which we don't have.
Yeah, we only got that to watch Discovery, and then...
No, to watch Picard, and then we tried out Discovery, and...
Yeah, season 1 was not very stupid, but then there was one great episode. The one that was set 1,000 years in the future, and the guy with the dying ship.
Yeah, I know.
And he gets taken aboard by the ship, who at that point has developed a personality. I don't know. It's a sweet episode. It was really nice.
Yeah, but they bunked it up in a later episode that we didn't see, though I don't remember how.
They really?
Yes.
You see, I'm so grateful I didn't see it. We didn't see it, that episode will stay with me forever.
Yep. Another video, the Seiko 6138 8020 Black Panda. When is this video from?
Oh, I don't know, a while ago, good while ago.
Okay, Pokey 6087. There's a watch guy I know who can do a modification of the chronograph reset on these so it sweeps slowly back to 0 rather than snapping back. He does it because he says it puts far less shock through the movement, which over time can cause issues with regular use of the chronograph.
He's exactly 100% right. Overuse of that thing, I mean, or even a single hard reset will can damage a chronograph wheel like that. I've seen it happen because it happened to me when I got my first 6138, and I did a hard reset on it, and that jacked up the spring in the chronograph wheel so the hand started slipping.
Was it the bullhead?
No. That was my first UFO. And I noticed, and I jacked it up. I was on a business trip going to the Western Slope, and I was standing there, and I was looking at my watch. I'm like, my watch is so awesome. Click, stop, reset, click, whatever the heck, doing this. And then I remember standing there. In fact, it was when we all went, you and me and Sadie, took you on that one trip.
Was that the one when we were in Aspen and Sadie almost got her head hit by some rich person's skis? And then there was I had a bagel, and the dude that was the manager, he was like, oh, that smells so good, but I'm on Atkins. And I was like,
oh, that's awesome.
That's all I remember.
That's all you remember? Oh, well. Where was I going with that story?
Freaking I know.
I was going somewhere with that. No, I think I had a point.
You broke your watch.
Oh, God. And so I remember the lower reset button, the reset force needed to overcome the resistance from the click spring on the hammer. It was set too high, or because I bought the watch as is. I didn't service it. So it was like click, and all this force went into the chronograph wheel, and that roasted it right then and there. I would not, the only way for it to turn into an always a slow return is to basically remove the click spring that keeps the hammer in place. He couldn't, no, it had to, that spring had to stay there, otherwise the hammer would just be flopping around. Okay, so it's still there, but he made it so weak, or he ground off the leading edge that acts as the keeper, that you could just do this. I don't know. I like them to look and behave like they should. If you set that reset amount, what it takes to overcome it, to make it go click, if you set that light, then yeah, it might drag a little bit, but even a little bit more, it's fine. But if you press it firmly, it'll reset, but it's not too hard. But, you know, to each their own.
Project Watch a Parts Build Chronograph Value 7733 from Nacho Valenti. I think that with that handset looks really nice. Talking about the mesh bracelet, it could be better on a dark brown leather strap. Thanks, Spencer, and we'll see what you decide. What'd you decide? I don't remember.
Well, it's actually still on the thing. Well, no, it's on the bench. I haven't gone to it. I did look at it. I mean, I pulled it apart, the whole watch. I pulled out those Swiss hands I was thinking about using, and their size is completely wrong. I would have to find a way to, on the hour hand, to close it up, and on the minute hand, I would have to broach it out. That's not a problem, but the hour hand, I'm not sure how I would pull that off. So I started looking today at similar hands from Seiko that in my crap. So I found one set, and I'll see how the sizing is and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah, cool. But on the leather strap, I agree. I mean, Omega did bracelets on chronographs all the time, but this particular watch probably would look better on leather. So
That's
what?
That's it. I want to eat my pizza.
I want to eat my pizza too, and Kraken wants to eat her pizza. All right, folks, thank you so very, very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.